The winter of 1993 had settled upon the remote stretches of the Northwoods with an unforgiving silence. In a small, insulated cabin nestled deep within the vast, frozen expanse of the Canadian Shield, two friends, John and Robert, sought refuge from the world. They were experienced outdoorsmen, accustomed to the solitude, drawn to the stark beauty of the season. Their plan was simple: a week of ice fishing, quiet contemplation, and the camaraderie that only true isolation can foster. The cabin itself was a sturdy, hand-built structure, a beacon of warmth against the biting cold. It had a wood-burning stove, a small pantry stocked with provisions, and a heavy, reinforced door designed to keep the elements and anything else at bay. For days, their routine was a rhythmic cycle of chopping wood, checking fishing lines on the frozen lake, and evenings spent by the crackling fire, sharing stories and sips of amber liquid. The snow fell in soft, endless layers, blanketing the forest in pristine white, muffling all sound, creating a world unto itself. Then, the scheduled check-in calls ceased. A concerned relative, after several days of unanswered attempts, contacted local authorities. A park ranger, familiar with the territory and the men, was dispatched to investigate. The journey to the cabin was arduous, the snow drifts deep and treacherous. The ranger, a man named Thomas, moved slowly on his snowmobile, the only sound for miles the distant hum of his engine against the profound quiet of the wilderness. As he approached the clearing, an immediate sense of unease settled upon him. The cabin was utterly silent. No smoke curled from the chimney, a telltale sign that the stove had gone cold. The snow around the cabin was untouched, a pristine white canvas broken only by the tracks of small animals. There were no footprints leading to or from the front door, no sign that anyone had come or gone since the last heavy snowfall. He dismounted, the crunch of his boots unnaturally loud in the stillness. He walked up to the front door, heavy with trepidation. He knocked, waited, and knocked again. Nothing. A prickle of cold fear, unrelated to the weather, began to spread. He tried the handle. It was firm, unyielding. The door was locked from the inside. This was the first detail that defied logic. A small, but significant crack in the expected order of things. With a growing sense of dread, Thomas radioed his findings. Protocol dictated a forced entry. Using a crowbar from his snowmobile, he breached the heavy lock. The sound of splintering wood echoed through the frozen air, a violent intrusion upon the profound silence. He pushed the door open, a blast of icy air rushing out to meet him, carrying with it the stale scent of a long unoccupied space. The interior of the cabin was a still life of interrupted routine. A half-finished game of checkers lay on a small table by the window, the pieces frozen in mid-move. Two mugs, still containing the dried remnants of coffee, sat beside them. On the counter, a pot of stew, now solidified and covered in a thin film of ice, indicated a meal left unfinished. Two sleeping bags were unrolled on their bunks, a deck of cards scattered near one. A jacket hung casually over a chair, as if its owner had just stepped out for a moment. Everything was accounted for, save for the two men who had occupied it. There were no signs of a struggle, no overturned furniture, no broken glass, no blood. Nothing to suggest violence or a hurried departure. It was as if John and Robert had simply stepped away. But where? And why had they locked the door behind them, from the inside, only to vanish into the relentless winter? Within hours, a full search and rescue operation was mobilized. The area around the cabin, stretching for miles in every direction, was meticulously combed. Experienced trackers searched for footprints, any indication of passage, but the pristine snow offered no answers. The only tracks were those of the ranger who had arrived, and the wildlife that had moved through the forest. The lake was checked, its thick ice undisturbed. No hole, no break in the surface, no indication of a fall through. Investigators were baffled. How could two men, in a locked cabin, disappear without leaving a single trace. The locked door was the ultimate paradox. If they had left voluntarily, how could they have secured the cabin from the interior? If they had been taken, how did the abductors gain entry and exit without leaving a mark, and then manage to lock the door from the inside? It was a riddle that defied physical laws. Several theories were put forward, each more unsettling than the last. Could it have been a hidden, forgotten exit, known only to them? But no such passage was ever found. Was it a planned disappearance, a meticulously executed vanishing act? But why leave everything behind, including personal effects and a warm, secure shelter in the dead of winter? The wilderness was a cruel and unforgiving place. Survival without proper gear and planning was nearly impossible. Another chilling possibility emerged, a psychological break. Had one or both men succumbed to the intense isolation, venturing out into the deadly cold in a state of delusion? But even then, the locked door remained an insurmountable obstacle to explanation. And if one had left, why would the other not have tried to contact anyone, or at least sound an alarm? Some even whispered of something far more sinister, something beyond the realm of human explanation, a force that could simply erase presence, leaving behind only the ghost of a routine. The vastness of the Northwoods, with its ancient forests and deep, silent lakes, had always held secrets, stories of things that defied easy understanding. Years passed. The case of John and Robert grew cold, eventually fading into the archives of unsolved mysteries. The cabin still stands, a silent monument to an impossible event, slowly reclaiming its place among the trees. Its heavy wooden door, once breached, was eventually secured again, but the mystery of what happened within its walls, and how two men could simply cease to be, remains an open wound in the fabric of reality. No bodies were ever found. No credible explanation ever surfaced. The Northwoods kept it secret, a chilling reminder that sometimes, even in a world meticulously documented, people can simply vanish. The question echoes through the quiet forests to this day. How did they leave a cabin locked from the inside? And where did they go?